Hey, welcome back. So this video is on external modules, which is a topic that I always love to teach because by the end of this video, we'll be doing some fun things. We're going to get some colors printed out in our terminal using Python. We're going to print ASCII art, Star Wars style scrolling text, things that right now we're not really capable of, but we're going to talk about external modules that will help us accomplish that. So quick review. We've seen built-in modules. They come with Python. We include them using import. We've seen how to define custom modules. We, make code in a file and then we import it using the import statement. Now we're talking about external modules. And these are modules that exist online on a server. Basically, Python developers all around the world develop modules, packages, and they can push them up online so that anyone else, like us, can go download them and use them in our code. So here I'm on a website called PyPy, is probably how it's pronounced, pypi.python.org. If you just search for Python packages, it's called the Python Package Index. And on here, we can see that there's currently over 124,000 different packages that Python developers have contributed. And they range from really commonly used things down to really niche, weird, sometimes funny packages. And we can actually go to Browse over here, and they will be broken down into categories. So there's things like, what do we have? Natural language processing, Mac specific, what else? Desktop development packages, internet packages, graphics and audio packages. So, here's under sound synthesis, there are packages that will help us generate, square waves or make noise, make musical applications. Or under speech, there's probably some packages that will actually help, that you could convert text to speech or something using Python. Let's see. And if we scroll through some of these, this is under the sound and audio speech category. We have things like, what do we have here? Python simple text to speech module. A robot that receives voice commands to play albums from your MP3 collection called Music Butler. So, like I said, some very specific uses. But then there are packages that do much more common things, like help you develop web applications, or what we're going to focus on, the first package we'll see is just a way to add color to our print statements. Right now, all of our print statements are just default terminal colors. So for me, black and white. But we'll see a way to say, I want this to be green and this to be purple. So I've showed you all these packages online. They exist. How do we install them and use them? And the secret is we need to use something called pip, P-I-P. It doesn't really stand for something officially. On Wikipedia, it says it stands for pip installs packages, which is a recursive definition, which maybe that's the original, but people just say pip. It's a way of installing these packages. And it used to be a separate thing, but now as of 3.4, Python 3.4, it comes installed when you install Python. So we don't have to install anything. We don't have to do anything in order to use pip. All we do is we run python 3-m pip install. So this is always the same. And then the name of a package. So the first package that we're going to work with is called term color. Here's the page, the documentation page for it. And it just lets us print colored text. So very simple and straightforward. We can do things like print hello world as red. And you can get fancy and make it blink in the terminal or reverse. And there's different things you can do. But the first thing we have to do is actually install term color. So using this syntax, python 3-m pip install, open your command line and run it with term color. Or if you have another package that you're trying to install, replace the name with, replace term color with the name of the package. I already have it installed, and so it tells me that term color requirement already satisfied. But if you don't have it installed, it might take a moment. It's going to actually download it. And now we have access to it in our Python files. So I'm going to make a new file. I'm just going to call it colors.py. And the first thing we need to do is import term color. Okay. And back in the docs, the documentation's not that amazing on here. It tells us things like the colors that we can use. Unfortunately, no purple. It shows some examples, but there are two built-in methods or two built-in functions that we can use to help us out. And the first one is called dir, D-I-R, and what it will do is tell us the list of names that a certain package or module comes with, or any object. I think it will be clearer if I show an example. So in here, I'll run print dir term color. And if I execute this now, it just tells us the attributes that are in there. So we've got colors, highlights, and then there's a function called colored, another one called cprint. So this isn't that useful. Also, we can see some other things in there, but this on its own doesn't help that much. But there's a second built-in function called help. And help will show us documentation for whatever object we pass in. So let's do help term color. And now look what we get. Notice we don't have to print it, by the way. My terminal is taken over, and we get a little overview of the functions. So there's one called colored, and take a look at this. We've taken the text that we want, or we pass in a text that we want to be colored. We specify a color. We can also specify on color, which is the background. And then we can see available text colors: red, green, yellow, blue, magenta, cyan, white, text highlights, attributes. So we can do blank or reverse, concealed. Okay, so back in my file, let's undo that or delete the help. And let's try running this colored function. So we'll just start simple, pass in some text like, hi there, and then a color, which we could just pass in as red or something, but let's do keyword argument and do cyan, like that. And there's going to be a problem right away. Can you spot it? Colored is not going to exist. It's going to be a name error. And that's because we either need to do term color dot colored, or what I prefer, from term color import color, or colored, just like this. Now I should be able to access it. But the thing is, if I run this, so Python 3 colors, nothing happens. And that's because by default, this doesn't actually print anything. So let's save it to a variable just called text. Now we can print text. I could also just put the print around this directly. But it just returns like a string that's ready, that has the color information encoded in it. And then we need to print it when we want to. And look at that. That's blue text, or cyan. Let's play around and do magenta. Cool. And remember, if you want to see a list of the colors, you can always type help again. You could also just go into Python 3 in the terminal like this. And if you just try and do help term color, you're going to get an error, but you need to import term color and then do help term color. And we can see, okay, so we've got red, green, blue, yellow, blue. So things like orange, purple, those aren't there. Available text highlight. So let's do on magenta and make our text yellow. Let's try that. See what happens. So that's going to be color is yellow, and then on color equals, and we have to do on magenta. It's not magenta, it's on magenta. Let's see. Oh, I got to quit out of here first. Try it. Very ugly, but it works. That's magenta. Let's switch that around. Anyways, this doesn't need to be about aesthetics so much, but let's do it on yellow instead. Oof, that yellow is just terrible. Okay, how about green? Fine enough. The other thing that I'll mention is that I won't open up help again, but there's another thing, another parameter or argument we can pass in called adders, and it's actually a list. And if we pass in blink, and I only know this because I looked at help, but I just don't want to make you watch me open that up multiple times. So blink, oh, it's really hard to see with the cyan. Let me get rid of the on green. Let's do on cyan and make the color magenta. Okay, now you can see it's blinking. Okay, cool. So hopefully you can see how this is exciting. Yeah, it's just colors, but that's something we don't know how to do. Frankly, I don't know how to do it. I don't think it's that hard. You have to learn, it's like these weird, they're called ANSI color codes or something, ANSI, something like that, maybe 2 I's. So it's not impossible by any stretch. It's just something I don't know about. But why not just use a nice little package called term color that does it for me. So I can just specify colored. There's a little interface. I say the color I want, the background color, if I want it to be blinking. It's nice and it's pretty easy. And we use pip to install it. So in the next video, we're going to continue to use this, but we're going to try building something with it.